Happy Faith-Filled Friday! What it do? How y'all doing today? It's your girl Tanisha Brayton, and I just stopped by to empower and uplift one's faith to be hungry for more of His will for your life. How about that? Okay, let's get into it. I miss y'all. Your girl been busy. A lot of stuff's been going on. So I'm back to the post. How about that? Okay. So today I want to talk about faith in His timing. Okay. So let's start back from the beginning. What is faith? Okay. Faith in Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Okay. I have a little acronym that I say, and it is F, forward action in trusting His timing. Meaning you can see it, you believe it, and you're going to stand on it till it comes to pass in His timing. Okay. So what is time? Time is the measured or immeasurable period during which an action, process, or condition exists or continues. An appointed, fixed, or customary moment or hour for something to happen, begin, or end. The biblical reference to time is, beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. Let that sink in. That's a whole lot. So I heard this guy, he was preaching on time a little bit ago, but anyhow, he said, I broke it down because he was saying like one day, okay, it's 1,000 years. So there's 24 hours in a day. So 12 hours is equivalent to 500 years. 6 hours would be like 250 years. 3 hours is 125 years. So forth and so on. It's too much to comprehend. It's too much to think. If you think like that, you'll probably just give up, right? So what would we give up if we thought like that in every way while waiting? Probably everything, because you're like, I ain't gonna wait no 1,000 years for this to happen. I'll be dead by then. But if we think about it, your faith should outweigh the timing of the vision God gave you. Because when He gave it to you, He didn't say, I'm gonna have it done by tomorrow. He didn't tell you next month. He didn't tell you next year. He just told you to walk out in it, and that He was gonna be with you along the way, right? You have to have faith to believe that He's going to do it, period. It doesn't matter if it took 1,000 years. I mean, we can't see that far, but guess what? We ain't supposed to see that far. We just supposed to see what He showed us, believe for it, walk it out accordingly to what He showed you, and let Him worry about the time, okay? Why? Because in Acts 1:7, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons, the days the Father has set by His own authority. It says the disciples had so many questions for Jesus. He promised many answers to them, but also expressed that there were some things they simply were not supposed to know. Allowing them to know the dates and times of God's plan could very well prevent them from seeking God in the meantime. Jesus wanted them to know that God has ultimate authority over time. And trusting in that would allow them to come to much greater faith than knowledge of dates ever could. So when God gave me, for instance, the vision to for Mark Equals Land of Hope, my first thought was, I ain't got no $1 million to do this. You know what I'm saying? Time wasn't the first thing. It was the resources for the thing. And so I knew then that it was bigger than me. So God said, just start doing it. Just start showing love, doing what you can do now with the resources you have now, with the money you have now, okay? Do I want it to happen tomorrow? Yes. Do I want the land today? Yes. But if God would have gave it to me years ago, I wouldn't have been able to handle it probably. If He gave it to me, if He told me when He was going to give it to me, I may be walking around like, I mean, I'm going to be this in a couple months. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll get caught up in all the things. But through the process, God is building your faith, because time after time after time after time again, I'm sure you want to give up. I'm sure you're like, I don't see the finished end. I don't see the finished product. I mean, well, a lot of things in life, whether there's business, whether there's relationships, whether it's, I don't know, friendships, whatever the case may be, Sometimes you want to give up even on people, places, things. But when you have faith, now faith means you believe it today. Whether you can see it down the road or not, see it years and years and years from now, you have faith today, right? To move in it today, to operate in it today without worrying about the time frame of it, okay? So it says, the bottom line is, in Jeremiah 29:11, it says, for I know the plans. He didn't say you know the plans. He said, for I know the plans. That means that he's already destined. It's already done for you over there, okay? But you got to stay over here and work it out till you get to over there. He didn't tell you what time you was going to get there. He didn't say how many days. He didn't tell you, for I know the dates and I know the plan. He said, I know the plans I have for you. He knows the dates and he knows the times, okay? But our only job is to believe that, right? Like, that's the half the battle of the whole situation, is to actually believe it, okay? We just have to believe for his time, and just like I'm believing for the park. If God showed me that, I'm believing in his time, he's gonna, all the things are gonna line up for that, right? So think about anything you ever waited on. The timing was probably perfect when it happened, right? Or you waiting on something and you like, man, I need it by the 15th. You know what I'm saying? Like, God, I know you're going to do it. I need it by the 15th, and it's the 12th, okay? And I believe what you said, okay? And then here comes the 15th, and you're like, wow, he did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, right on time. Like, never in a hurry, never late, on time, right? So think about what now years down the road it will make. Like, I mean, it says think about what you want now, years down the road, why it wasn't the right timing. It's just going to make sense. It's going to be like, man, that's why he didn't give me that. Man, that's why I wasn't supposed to do that in that timing. Like, see the good in the thing, because God has your back at the end of it all. He already knows, he already seen, he already figured it out while you over here stressing about it, okay? Think about Noah. Noah did not know it was going to be a flood. Noah just knew that he needed to trust and believe in God for what God said. God told him to gather all the animals, gather the male and the female, put it on this boat, close the door behind, all these things. He gave him specific instructions, okay? He didn't tell him how long he was going to be on the boat. He didn't tell him how long it was going to take before the rain came. He just told him to do what he said and built the boat, built the ark, right? And in the end of it all, there was a rainbow. You know what I'm saying? Like, the flood came, but they were covered, and then in the end, there was a rainbow, right? That should bless you in itself. Okay, anyway, think about Abraham. Abraham, all he knew is he needed to sacrifice his son. You know what I'm saying? Like, he always, when is the time coming, Lord? You know, when is this going to happen? And I've been out here all this time, and hey, but it was his faith that kept him going. It was the only thing he knew was to believe what the Lord had said to him, was to stand firm on the facts that he gave him, the truth that he shared with him, the promises that he laid out, and to walk it out, right? So in the end, we must simply believe what he said. Walk it out, wait on his timing. Just watch how it all lines up, because he is simply never early, never late, but always on time, every single time. Do you understand? Okay. Okay, I'll give you a quick testimony about time. So back in 2020, we were supposed to go to Morgan's Wonderland. COVID hit, we weren't able to go. During that time process, you know, I'm like, is there any way possible I could meet the founder, Morgan's dad? And you know, slim to none chances, right? Like, you coming over here to volunteer work to see the park, we can't be sitting up no meet with the man, right? So years passed, and I'm like, we have to get to the park. Like, we've been to Give Kids the World a few times, they've labored there, but we need to see this other park, right? So this year we set a date at the beginning of the year, and we're like, this is the date, the end. Who can go, who can't, but I'm not moving this date, right? So then I reach out to the people, and they were like, well, the park's actually bought out that weekend. But if you want to still come out and see the park and help volunteer for what's taking place at the park, which is Special Olympics, feel free to do so. And then I'm like, what? Special Olympics? Okay, like this is all our warehouse. This is what we're here for. So we decide that's what we're going to do. We're going to serve. We're going to see the park. We're going to help the Special Olympics team. And so we did that. So this was on a Thursday. We got there on a Thursday. The Friday we went to the park. And I had been asking, I'm like, what does Morgan's dad look like? Can I see him? What are the odds of me being able to meet him? They're like, oh, he'll probably be for closing ceremonies. He'll probably, you know, walk through the park when it's all over, or something to that effect. Like, but the chances of them getting him to come talk to me wasn't going to happen, right? So that Friday, I'd already made up in my mind. I know God sent me out here for a reason. I know this is a divine appointment. I'm supposed to be at this park. It all lined up, from the dates to Special Olympics to 3 of the girls, half of them. It was always some before we even tried to go. It was a lot, right? So anyhow, on that Friday, we're getting ready to leave the park. And they already told me tall man, he'll walk in, blah, blah, blah. If you see him, you'll know him. And I'm getting, like, literally got emotional, just like sitting there taking it all in. I could see the Land of Hope. I could see the Miracle Park, just all these things. And I'm just overwhelmed. And as I'm sitting there trying to literally gather myself, we're waiting on the taxi. And my friend's like, I got hurt so much. She was crying. She's like, girl, you got me crying. So I'm like, it's just so much. It was so good, y'all. But just as I was just like processing it all, and I opened my eyes, and here comes Mr. Morgan walking in. I'm outside waiting on the taxi. And I'm just like, me and my friend locked eyes like, is that, you know, she asked somebody, they say yes. So then I reached out to security. I have to talk to him. I have to touch him. I have to lay hands on him. I need to talk to him. And so he came back and he let me know that he was willing to speak with me. And I had to wait a little bit, and I did. And it was great, but all I got to say, all this to say is, it was an appointed divine time. I may not have seen him in 2022. I mean, in 2021 months ago. So many things could have happened since then. Like, it was I'm talking about the exact time. The appointed time. Do you understand me? It's different than somebody seeing you and knowing you and feeling you and hugging you and touching you, and somebody just blindly reaching out to them. You know what I'm saying? So I thank God for his timing during the trip. Everything that you can think of trying to stop the trip. One of my friends, she lost her license the night before, finally found it. My other friend lost her license, didn't realize it until the day we were supposed to be on the flight, had to redirect her flight, come later. My other friend ended up having to work a day over and have to come the next day. But God worked it all out. It was meant, every single ounce of his time. And do you understand? It was to a point where at one point we were like tired of catching taxi. We're like, we should have rented a car by now. And then all of a sudden my friend has a friend in San Antonio that she's been trying to link up with for a year or so now, whatever. They grew up together in Cleveland, and then they got to reconnect, and then she was our personal driver and gave us the best time of our life. The laughter was contagious. The joy was overwhelming. It was amazing. Like, I can't even tell it all. That's how good it was. You know what I'm saying? But it was God's appointed time. I can't make this up. It was God's appointed time, and that we just have to stay steadfast, unmovable, unshakable in faith, and believing that what he showed you, believe what he told you. I don't care who don't support. I don't care who doesn't share your page. I don't care who don't like it. What God has for you is for you. You just have to believe that it's his timing. Take yourself out the equation. It's not your time, it's his time. And in his time, everything makes sense. Everything comes full circle. Everything lines up because he is good. He's not a man that he shall lie. So I thank him on today for that. That God is an on-time God, y'all. He knows what you need when you need it. He knows what not to give you too early. He knows not to let it be too late. He is on time. So today, I just want to simply tell somebody out there that he's on time. Don't worry about it. I mean, you know, it's hard not to worry about it because but that's faith. You have to believe it. It's without sin. It's believing without sin. It's what you see in the future. It's what you have hope for. It's what you know shall come to pass. But in the meantime, you have to wait in His timing. It's going to work out for your good. Yes, God is good. God is good. God is good. He is on time. Y'all be blessed with that. Do not fret. Do not be dismayed. Do not get overwhelmed. Do not give up. Because in His timing, not my timing, not your timing, in His timing, it'll be all good. Y'all be blessed and encouraged with that on today. Stay in faith. Keep moving. Keep believing. Forward action in. Trusting His timing. He's going to do it. God is good. God is good. God is good. Y'all have a happy, faith-filled Friday.